Okay, so we're diving into the blacklist, and specifically, like, all those Reddington just blew my mind
All right,
moments.
right. And it's funny you use the word diving because looking at Reddington's past, it really is like exploring a shipwreck.
Totally. And judging by the podcast episode you sent over, seems like we've got a fellow deep-sea explorer out there, someone who gets... The blacklist isn't just about the twists, it's about why does Reddington do the things he does.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, what other show gives you a criminal mastermind who's also like deeply devoted to family?
It's such a wild mix, and the podcast, it really honed in on the fire from Liz's childhood as this turning point, which, yeah, for her, obviously for Red too, he's like that fire still haunts him.
Well, think about it. That fire, it's more than just a tragedy, right? It's symbolic. It's the death of his old life with Katerina Rostova, the life that made him who he was, or thought he was.
Wow. Hadn't thought of it like that. So it's less about the fire itself, more about everything it represents.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That fire, it created Reddington, the one we know. Forged him in the flames, you could say.
And Liz is kind of the living embodiment of all that, isn't she?
Exactly. She's his past, constantly threatening to break through to the present.
Which makes his need to protect her so intense.
Uh,
Then there's what went down with Mr. Kaplan. In your podcast, you called it a betrayal. And honestly, that was rough to watch.
Mr. Kaplan. His cleaner, his confidant, she knew it all.
And still he.
It's brutal. But it reveals something vital about Reddington. He will protect his secrets at any cost.
Even if it means.
Even if it means sacrificing the untouchable Mr. Kaplan.
It makes you wonder, where is the line for him? Does he even have one?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But then just when you think you've got him figured out, bam, the illness revealed.
Dude, I'm still reeling from that one. You're right. The podcast called it a game changer, and they weren't kidding. Now, obviously, no spoilers for our listener.
Of course, of course.
But the implications, though, it's like this huge shadow suddenly falls over everything.
Absolutely. Every action, every choice, it's all colored by this ticking clock now.
Doesn't make his choices right, but...
But it adds a layer of complexity, right? Suddenly that urgency, that desperation.
Yeah.
It makes more sense.
Makes you think, if we knew our time was that limited, would we act any differently? Reddington's a bad guy, sure, but...
But his love for Liz, his need to protect her, to atone, those are all real. Twisted maybe, but real.
Man, so much to unpack here. So for our listener, what's the takeaway? It's not enough to just watch Red's shocking moments.
We gotta look for what they reveal about the man beneath. The layers of pain, love, and, well, yeah, ruthlessness too.
Exactly. He's a whole psychology textbook in a three-piece suit.
And as you watch, keep asking yourself, if you take away the mystery, the justifications, are you judging Reddington? Or are you? Maybe even understanding him a bit.
Ooh, that's going to keep me up at night.
Well, on that note, we're calling time on this deep dive. Massive thanks to our listener for the awesome podcast suggestion. You can find all the details in our show notes. See you next time.